You start recording. There's. I am resident of Collinwood for YouTube, joined by my buddy Daniel Culver, Killenberg. How the hell are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing good. Oh, sorry about that. I accidentally hit mute on the mic. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
It's It's all right. But how are you?
I'm good.
That's good. That's good.
How
We're
are
here.
you?
I'm good. I'm good. We're here to discuss Halloween H2. Every Monday on this channel, I will be doing mandatory Michael Myers videos. Uh, a different video each week, so fun times are ahead. Um, this movie is really interesting because we have for the first time in the franchise, you had a time jump, and man, this movie gets creepy in a sense too. When did you first see this, man?
Actually, I hate to admit this, but I actually didn't see this until about 2011 because I think I told this before, but in 2011, I decided to buy the first 8 Halloween movies.
Yeah.
So I think it was, I don't exactly know when exactly, but it was like, you know, it was, I would say probably either in late in the summer or in the fall, that year.
Yeah, I watched this when it came out. I went to the drive-in theater in, I think it was Brownsville, and we went to go see this, and it was funny because I've been asked how did I feel about Jamie Lee Curtis coming back, and I'm going to be honest with you. And that's one thing I always try to be here is honest, and I I still have mixed feelings about this because all those years ago, I mean, the internet didn't like explode in '98. It was still relatively young, we'll say, but not completely young, but young enough, we'll say. And so no one that I knew that was younger than me, I should say, knew that Jamie Lee Curtis was in John Carpenter's Halloween, or that hey, Jamie Lee Curtis was in a Halloween movie. But and explaining this felt like going to the dentist and getting your teeth pulled. Crazy, crazy business. I really find it interesting that we've had we've had male antagonists in the series, and Michael, you know, chase them or stab them. I mean, we've seen Loomis get stabbed, but even Danny Strode was a male antagonist. But here, you have a teenaged male antagonist who is Laurie Strode's son. What did you think about that?
I thought, yeah, that was, pretty interesting as well, because, you know, her son, I think John is an interesting character. I don't know how you feel, but
Well, I really, because here's the one thing. I was sort of talking about this when I did my video, my Allison video, my what if, like what we should have gotten. I really like the character because this movie introduces Josh Hartnett as an actor, and here's this guy who I get he's handsome. I'm not denying that. I can say that as a guy. Yeah, he's handsome. I get why, but they didn't just rely on his looks. They gave him a chance to sink or swim. And I mean, who are you? You're putting him next to Jamie Lee Curtis, who is even in 1998 is a legend in most horror fans' mind. Every horror fan's mind. I mean, she's done a lot of films by this point in her career, and here's this young kid. They're giving him the ball to sort of counteract her, and he does a hell of a job holding his own. I mean, they did not handcuff his character. This I sort of wanted to see a lot of this from Allison in 2018, and they didn't give her near the opportunity they get. That I know it's a different company, but Josh Hartnett got a huge opportunity, and he did a good job. I mean, he made you feel that it was literally that he's been hearing this shit for 20 years.
It's actually interesting. You mentioned that. You mentioned that because if you think about it, it's interesting how Halloween was Jamie Lee Curtis's movie debut, and this is Josh's, movie
Yeah,
debut.
yeah. It's really interesting because they also Josh Gordon-Levitt's in this movie as well. He gets killed off. um, but with Josh Hartnett, this is his introduction role, and the fact that I don't care who you are, how talented you are, opposite Jamie Lee Curtis, that couldn't have been an easy ask because, she's she's an accomplished actress, and you have a lot to prove, and I think he held his own really well. There's things he does that really impress me. I love the scene in the town where they're having the argument because by that time he did make you feel, hey, he's been living with this shit for 20 years, listening to her. But the one scene I love the most is right before he goes into the window at the party. He hears this noise and he looks and he has this look like, what the fuck is that? Like he sees something, and I wish they would have shown what the hell he saw.
Yeah, they actually should have. Like, I'm surprised they didn't make like another cut that did show it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get that on these releases that are coming up, but I hope we that would be cool. Like if they have like an extended cut of H2O, and from his side, I think you should see these tall bushes, and like within the bushes, you see like Michael, like you see like the white mask, and he's like, and then it disappears. Like that would to me like something with Michael because he saw something now that he just didn't like. That was so creepy to me too. That was one of the most creepiest moments. I'm thinking, what's he see?
Yeah, now you mentioned it though, it is weird that they didn't show it.
It remind that scene sort of reminded me how Lori would keep seeing him in the original, and the look she would give. She'd give like this concerning look, or even a terrified look. Like, what? Why is this person like keep following me? But with this, like he sort of gives the same look, and it's really cool. What did you think of Merrington Winnington, the character Merrington Winnington, um, being in this movie?
Um, um, yeah, I'm not really sure, but I know it's probably kind of weird, but yeah.
No, she, Dr. Loom, well, the nurse from Halloween 1 and 2, and she ends up being Dr. Loomis's nurse taking care of him, which is really cool. And I like how she comes home and the glass is all broken. She steps on it and she goes in the house all slowly, and she just like, oh, okay, I've had enough. I'm gonna go get my neighbor.
You know what? Actually, I'll say that it actually is. I am kind of glad they brought her back.
Yeah, she. I really thought the one person, who would know to call the cop, like they call the cops. She's living in a quiet Illinois town called Landon. She's not living in Haddonfield, and they call the cops. They say, "Oh, the cops will be here in like 20 minutes." Like 20 minutes comes and goes. Cops no show for a while. And it's like, man, that's These police in these movies, they take their time. I mean, they probably thought it might be a Halloween prank. I give them that, but
Sure.
what did you think of Michael Myers in this movie?
I actually didn't mind him too much. Like, one thing I didn't like is, like, I know this is not this is kind of a minor complaint, but I didn't like how you could see his eyes. I know he was originally going to be a copycat killer, but that didn't happen. That's not canon.
Right. I think here's the thing. I wouldn't have minded the copycat, but not the person they chose.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Like, I can't, because if you're gonna have somebody caught, like, because to my understanding, having one copycat killer, you're more doing a who done it, like who's behind the mask.
Now I will admit, the ending is kind of weird. Like,
Yeah,
Bert turned out to be a paramedic, but that's actually something interesting. If you pay close attention, like, the guy in the Michael Myers costume does reach out to Laurie, so it does kind of hint that it's not actually him.
yeah, it's really. Here's the thing too. There's a lot of weird stuff that happens in H2O. We'll touch upon the ending here too, but because there's a lot of other stuff too. I noticed with Michael as I was watching this today that, but there's a paramedic ambulance standing there with his hat on, standing there with a hat on, and they don't show his face, but and he sort of scurries off after, I think that after they load the body, and then I don't know if that was Michael or not. I don't think it was, but it's weird that I don't know, the way they shot it, it's like, wait, because you're right. Like when the person dressed as Michael reaches out to him, I'm thinking Michael would not do that. Like, why would he reach out to her? Why would he care?
And I know a lot of people think that this was intended to be the ending, but that's actually not true. I'm sure you probably know that, but yeah.
Yeah, I will say that Jamie Lee Curtis wanted to kill Michael Myers off. There was like, there was a rule. I don't know if it's still in place that you can't kill Michael. So they said, well, what if we make him think we did? And that's what they went with. But even to me, you didn't fool me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's before the reaching out. Here's the moment too, because the one thing I kept in mind going into this was, okay, this is only going off the first two films. This isn't going off 4 or 5 where where he definitely was this supernatural entity. So here's Michael Myers, sits up, is standing in front of a van. The van's coming right at him. Now, I kept in mind the Dr. Loomis 6 shots that. Now, Loomis reacts to being shot by like moving his arms, but he doesn't he doesn't hold his hands out in the stop formation. And when the person in the Michael Myers costume did that, I shook my head. I'm like, that's not Michael.
Yeah. How did you feel about the CGI mask?
I think they use, again, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. I more think they use that because they felt bad for not CGI and Loomis in. I don't really care for the CGI mask. It's I don't usually, this. I usually like all the masks. But that's the one I go, okay, if you weren't going to bother using it for Loomis, why did you use it on a mask? Like,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
like to me, that made no sense.
And it's noticeable too. Like, I hate to say it, but it's noticeable.
Like, okay, remember how I was talking about John like seeing something. I get if you use it for then in like pitch black darkness for it to stand out, and John sees this bright object shining in the light. That I could understand, but that specific scene I don't, because it's not like it's so dark that you can't see the mask.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure
So
how I feel. Oh god.
I'm sorry. So now I don't really care for the CGI mask, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just saying like with Loomis, like you mentioned, like the CGI with Loomis. I don't know how I'd feel about that if they did do that though, because like that might be considered tasteless. It depends on the person. Like even when
Right.
they did it in Halloween Kills, I know it wasn't CGI. It was actually looked like they used some prosthetics, but even that I wasn't sure how to feel because that's like, is this disrespectful or respectful? I can't tell.
I don't think it's meant to be disrespectful, but I think that it's again, there's no replacing Donald Pleasance. There's no. Uh, Malcolm McDowell did a good job, I thought at times, but there was only one Donald Pleasance, and
Oh yeah, that's true.
yeah,
Actually, Michael McDowell I didn't mind because he's a different he's a different version of Loomis.
yeah, yeah, for sure he is too, especially in that unrated version.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Loomis from the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. It's not because that's just his personality.
Yeah, I've talked about that movie before too. It's really weird how, like, the theatrical version, Loomis, like, well, even there's moments in the uncut version too where Loomis is like, well, he's after her, he's found her, he's found her. I'm thinking, in the first film, this guy clearly is trying to stop Michael from, doing whatever to his sister, whether he thought he was trying to kill her or not. He was trying to prevent that. Okay, that was all for money. That's the part I go, that doesn't make any sense, because you're telling me this person literally put themselves in harm's way to potentially be killed. I mean, he knows how dangerous, because that's one thing I'll say about Michael McDowell's Loomis too. He knew how dangerous Michael was, but for him to put himself in danger and then into and to give a shit about another person, but then turn around and say, "Oh, it was all about the money," and it was like, what?
That's true. That's actually another thing I didn't really get about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 because I think I mentioned this on Facebook before, but it's weird how in the original Halloween 2, Loomis is trying to tell people that Michael Myers is still alive, but in the remake of the Halloween, that Halloween 2, it's the opposite. He's telling them, that they're idiots if they think Michael Myers is still alive.
Yeah, it's really, yeah, it's crazy. Like, I could understand Loomis saying he's dead. They just didn't find a body. But like for him to like to throw it in their face was like, oh wow. But I mean, with H2O, I like the movie for the most part because the acting is really good. But I always look at this movie like could have, would have, should have. Like they could have CGI'd Loomis, and they don't. They could have. Again, I don't know how you feel about recasting Loomis. They could have did that. I just feel like, how would you have felt if they would have recasted Loomis?
I'm not really sure to be honest. Because yeah, like you said, there's no replacing Don Pleasance, but it would be understandable as well. But they'd have to probably do it in a flashback because I think Loomis would probably be dead by that time.
Yeah, Donald Pleasance passed away in '95, but and yeah, in their story, that's the one thing I'll give credit. H2O, they did say that Dr. Loomis was dead. I love I love how nurse that I love the sorry, I love Donald Pleasance's or Dr. Loomis's deduction board on the wall. He's got all these pictures, all these clues, He's trying to figure out where Michael Myers is.
Oh yeah. Actually, with as far as recasting Loomis goes, do you think they should have actually done that and actually went through their original plan? I don't know if you know, but like originally he was supposed to become a member of the cult, but because of his death, Don Pleasant's death in real life, they had to cancel that idea.
Yeah, I think again, I don't know, like if they would have, like if H2O doesn't time jump, then yeah, you know what I mean. But if they would have kept the time jump and had, a Loomis character, Doctor Loomis, and recasted him, I think their storyboard would have been real simple. The deduction board that Loomis had, because that's the thing too. I've always pointed this out. Who was he keeping that for other than himself? I mean, it doesn't go to the police. It doesn't go to the FBI. There was nothing stated in a will that we know of to give it to the authorities. So it makes me think that he was keeping it to potentially find Myers, or he was coming closer to maybe finding him and trying to kill him. But that's something we'll never really. I mean, the board is a really great idea, like what they had in there, but we won't really know because they didn't have a Loomis. They didn't have. They didn't recast that character. I love what they did with Merrington Whittington because I take away this from H2O. Merrington Whittington helped Laurie Strode fake her death.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think you're right though. I think Loomis was planning on killing him. Like I think he became, Myers became a bit of an obsession, and that's how far it was going to go. Like he was actually going to go and find him, and kill him.
Yeah, I think that's something 2018 has done and Kills has done really well. That Loomis wanted to kill Michael. I mean, it makes sense. I could see it. I mean, the guy's pure evil. Why not? You know.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
What?
Marion. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, Marion. I'm still not 100% sure how I feel about her return. Like I said, I'm glad she did, but you know, it seems like it would have been better if she was in Resurrection instead. Like she could have told them, like, no, you shouldn't have the. I don't know if Resurrection was plant time, so maybe that's, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it was though, but I could. They could have. She could have been the one to tell them, like you guys shouldn't make that show. It's gonna be dangerous, but you know, mm, I know it's weird, but yeah, I just don't know how to feel about her appearance in H2. I know I gave you such a bland answer.
No, it's good, man. I'll say this too, that Resurrection. I love the fact that they're taking the house on Haunted Hill concept and applying it to the Myers house. Oh, we'll give you this much money to go explore clues in this house.
Oh yeah, it's true.
I'd be like, what house is that, sir? The Myers house. How much is it? $1,000. Yeah, that's not enough.
Speaking of House on Haunted Hill, I'm surprised when they do stuff like that, they don't pay more. They don't reference that more, like because for those that haven't seen House on Haunted Hill, there's a part where like the owner of the house, he gives them guns, but they're in like these little coffins. I think that'd be cool in like other movies, but you never see it for some reason.
Yeah, and it's what's been funny is in both versions, in the original and remake, they give them guns in these small little coffins. I'm like, man, it just everyone's getting a gun. All right.
Yeah,
I like I like how Vincent Price is just like he's just like so chill about the whole thing. Like, oh, here's a gun. Oh shit.
yeah. I forgot his character's name, and I know as soon as we stop recording, I'm probably gonna remember what it is. But yeah, you know who I'm talking about, Vincent Price.
Yeah, Daniel will message me. I remember today.
I think it's like something Lauren.
I think so. It might be. I'll say this though too, that the fact that Resurrection takes that concept is cool. I do wish they would have had, because they do have a character in Resurrection saying, "Don't do it, don't go in there." But he's so, but it's like it's a character I guess you're supposed to believe is from Haddonfield. But it would have been cool for Marion Hagen to be like the nurse at this college they were going to, and she like, don't go in that house, don't go in.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I agree. Speaking of Marion, how did you feel about Janet Leigh being in this movie?
Oh my god, I loved it. I love these the psycho nod and the psycho nods in this film are really cool. Janet Leigh's obvious. The car she drove and the car she was buried in the swamp is so cool. They have it in this movie. I it, H2O did a really good job paying homage to Hitchcock. And you know, it makes you feel good as a horror fan seeing that.
Oh yeah, I agree. And I don't know if you ever caught this, but she also says when she's, before she talks to Laurie, she said, "Can I talk to you maternally?" For the, it's kind of interesting since that's her mom in real life.
Yeah, she does say that too. I'm thinking, well, you're her mother. Of course, you could talk to her maternally.
It's kind of weird for those that don't know in real life that that's her mom, but the character is just her secretary.
Yep. And she like, here's the thing too. What's beautiful about it? Early in the movie, she blows the secretary off.
Oh yeah.
She like shuts the door in her face. I'm like, that was your mother. That was your mother.
But she is her secretary in that movie, right?
Yeah. Janet Leigh is playing Norma in the movie, and she's Carrie Tate's secretary, and she starts complaining about the pipes or something, and the psychiatrist Will something, I forget his name. They start like they go in her office, and Laurie Strode / Carrie Tate, whatever you want to call her, shuts the door in her face. I'm like, it's that's your mother. That's your real mother.
Oh yeah. Yeah, her name is Norma. I actually didn't catch that, to be honest.
It well, here's what's weird too. Like the security guard, LL Cool J's character, he says that Norman. I think he says Norman or Norma told him to walk the perimeter. I'm
Oh,
thinking, I'm thinking, there's this big rich school, and there's only one goddamn security guard.
oh yeah, that's true. Well, the reason I asked if that was her secretary is I know it's kind of weird because I know I probably shouldn't have doubted myself, but usually with schools there's a school secretary.
Yeah, that's what she is. She's the school secretary, and she's telling Laurie or Carrie Tate. I keep calling her Laurie Strode. She is Laurie Strode, but she's going by Carrie Tate because she's in witness protection. And then the secretary is like trying walking with her, telling her stuff. It's hilarious. She shuts the door to her face, but then that moment later, like you said, can I talk to you maternally for a moment? Which is cool. Then I love how she's near this like, oh, Miss Tate, have a happy happy Halloween.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. That's true. She does say have a happy Halloween as well.
I'm thinking, I was like, damn, even 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 the secretary is giving Laurie Strode the finger with that in a way.
Yeah.
Like, lady, you don't wish Laurie Strode a happy Halloween. There's nothing happy about it for her. But I tell you, I really like the character of Molly in this. I sort of wish they would have reversed this and had John look out the window and see Michael, but they don't. They have Molly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I could. Yeah, that's a good point.
And I like the fact that it's Laurie Strode teaching the class she's teaching about Frankenstein.
Oh yeah, I like that too. Like, and she actually that's how she just gets the courage to kind of confront Michael Myers. Like, for those who haven't read the book, it's better if you read the book, because that's what they're talking about anyway. Like the book, Frankenstein actually eventually confronts the monster. Of course, spoiler alert, the monster ends up killing him, but he still confronted him.
Yeah. And it's funny that Molly brings up the point. Well, Victor had nothing, nothing else to lose. The monster thought that by killing everybody, he had to, face his fate, or it was his fate, and that's when the bell rings. It's giving the biggest nod back to the original, that it's basically telling Laurie, hey, you need to confront your monster too, which is cool. I mean, the sublighting in the movie is really good. I like that part. I'm with you on that. That's really cool. I like how LL Cool J's character is like trying to talk to his girlfriend about writing a love story, and Josh Hartnett and that other kid want to sneak out. It's like, really, anybody could come in that building and hit the gate button and open it.
That's true.
And I'd like to know how far it is to town, because they walk. They walk to town.
That's true. Actually, one thing that I thought was interesting about John's character is, he said he wanted to go on that trip, but turns out he actually, didn't. He was,
Could you imagine, like, if none of the students had to go on a trip and Michael has like the whole school to kill? That'd have been crazy.
Oh yeah, that's true. That would be pretty crazy. But yeah, kind of was weird with John though, because it kind of seemed like he really wanted to go on the trip, but he was actually up to something.
Yeah, his girlfriend was like wanting to go on a trip, then her dad bails on her, and he's like, the whole movie, he's like, you need to let me go to Yosemite, or and he's arguing with her, like, nah. She's like, I'm not letting that happen. You know the drill. It's October 31st, but which he brings that up too. I love. He's like, I know it's Halloween. She's like, oh, I didn't notice. I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah.
But just really great acting by both, obviously, Jamie Lee Curtis and Josh Hartnett, and I really like the character Molly in this too. If they would have went with a copycat, do you think, like, who would you have picked?
Um, that's actually a good question. I know he's in. I know he's in Resurrection, so maybe this is not the best option because I was made after HL. But I think that that one patient in the beginning of HL would have been good for as a copycat guy.
Yeah, he would have made more sense too. But I love your answer. That's a great answer. I think
Thanks.
just somebody, if they wouldn't have gone with what you just said, because that is a great answer. But somebody who was familiar enough with not just knowing who Laurie is, but familiar with the case, like with the original Halloween murders. Like maybe a young kid researches them or something. I don't know, but I think you could have planted a kid at her school when they researched the murders and they knew who she was. You know, that's the one thing I'll say is Hillcrest, Academy. I imagine they have computers. I'm sure they look things up. Though it's funny, the psychiatrist says about knowing about the Halloween murders. Michael Myers doing it. So H-show sort of does give that nod that hey, you could have had a copycat killer in this story and it would have fit. I I don't know who I would have picked personally. Just somebody who knew that ended up being familiar with the case or learned about it. I would say. But what did you think about the score for H2O?
I didn't really mind it too much, to be honest. I know a lot of people compare it to Scream, but Western soundtrack, but I didn't think it was too bad.
I wish we would have got a lot more of the Lori theme, considering she's our main protagonist in this. And I wish we would have got a lot more hallucinations with this. Because, I mean, she says about it too, that she tried everything and nothing helped. Nothing made her get better. I do, you know, but I do wish we would have seen more. I mean, we do see her hallucinating Michael's there, and he's not really. But I wish that would have played a part in the plot where she's hallucinating to the point of she's not sure what's real, what's fake. Like, okay, she knows he's here. Like she's like there's enough bodies dropping that she determines her brother's here. But she's still hallucinating like, okay, is it really him? Because that's what gets us, well, the paranoia is what gets the security guard truck because Will shoots him. I wish they would have did that as Lori shoots him instead of it being Will. But because her paranoia and fear is spreading to him because they all see, Michael's starting to chase him down. But I do wish the hallucinations would have it played a part in the movie, but I wish it had got a bigger plot point in the movie.
Yeah, that'd been pretty cool.
Here's a question. Do you sort of wish that because she's been saying about her brother, the murders are happening, no one's actually seen Michael, like have all the students stay there, no one actually sees Michael, do you sort of wish John would have pointed the finger at his mother and say, "You're doing it"?
Oh, that actually would have been pretty interesting.
I think so too. Like it, because I mean, we would have known better as the audience, but like to have that happen, like it would make sense because it's like, okay, why shouldn't he believe it's her? He's never actually seen Myers, and no one else has either. It would have been really interesting if they would have went that route. I do like the fact that obviously the real Mike they went with the real Michael and not a copycat. I do think that's cool. I I love how Michael is literally doing everything he can not to draw attention to himself, even with him killing people. Because that moment in the bathroom where he does not kill the woman and her daughter. What did you think about that?
Oh yeah, that actually was kind of interesting, because you would think like with how Michael Myers he would just have killed them.
Yeah, when he stops and stares back into that mirror, I'm thinking, oh no, this is not going to end well. But he did not kill them. He took their car, though. He took the vehicle.
I don't know how you feel, but I've always felt like Michael Myers would kill a child. I know he tried to kill his niece, in 4 and 5, but I've always kind of felt like with how evil he is, he would kill a child.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, look how many times, like, well, too, he tries to kill Danny in 6.
Oh,
But
that's true.
you're right. He does kill a kid in 2018, but Michael is evil. He would kill a kid. I mean, it's when you watch John's original, it's sort of shocking that he doesn't leave Lonnie Lamb laying in the middle of the street when Lonnie runs into him, but he just like lets him go, and then he's stalking Tommy, and it's like, oh, oh shit.
I'm sure, yeah. I know some people had a problem with him killing that kid in 2018, but like I said, I always figured he would kill a child, but there are some people that said that that kid is supposed to be a younger teenager too, which I could see that.
Oh, those people can get the hell over it.
Yeah, pretty much. It wasn't even that really bad. I mean, understand that it's a kid, but it wasn't really that graphic or anything either.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it's fiction. I mean, God, you know, here's this guy. He's supposed to be the most evil character, evil killer. I mean, that when you draw that line for a character, well, the character is going to cross every line in the book to be evil, whether it's kill a kid or kill a pregnant woman. You know,
Yeah,
it's not going to matter. And I think that's something more people need to grasp, that hey, the character's evil.
yeah, it's true. Now I will admit though, I don't think Rob Zombie's Michael Myers would kill a kid. I might be wrong, but I kind of felt that Michael Myers was more human, basically. Even though he's gigantic.
Now he kills. Are the kids in school? Are they teenagers with him? Because he kills them.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So yeah, that's like actually the funny part about people getting mad about Michael Myers killing kids, because if you think about it, he kills teenagers, so in a way he already kind of does kill kids.
Right. I mean, that's right. Teenager is a kid. Oh gosh, Uh, it's funny because when the kids wanted their Halloween costumes and my daughter chose a werewolf, she's like, "I'm gonna howl at people." I'm like, you go for it.
Okay.
But uh, it's really crazy that people get upset about it. It's like, I'm a parent. I got two kids. It's like, it's fiction. Get over it.
Sure, yeah, it is fiction, not. And there's worse things out there, like if you've read. I actually haven't read it, but if you read the book, people would be like probably super offended.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, even in look at the miniseries. Like, the miniseries was scary as shit. And it's because he was going after kids. I mean, when you're dealing with a character that goes after kids or is evil enough to want to kill them, that's the terrifying part of it. So when Michael's going after a kid and the kid has to fend for themselves,
Oh,
that's the you're feeling sorry for the kid. You're scared not for yourself, for the character.
yeah, that's true. Actually, that reminds me of something I saw. I know it's kind of off topic, but you know how Freddy was originally going to be a child molester and all that. I
Yeah.
actually saw someone say that they don't see him as a child molester because it'd be hard to root for him. It's like you're not supposed to root for Freddy.
Here's that's the thing. Like, we've all been rooting for these serial killers since like the beginning of their inception, and it's like, well, they're serial killers. You're not supposed to root for them. It's like, yeah, that's nice.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's true. We do.
It's like it's Freddy. It's Freddy Krueger. He's a fictional character. He's not real.
That's true too. And actually, that's the thing about Freddy. That's one thing that makes him creepy, because like he like has a history of killing kids, and he's like unapologetic. He's like messing with them and everything.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit, which is cool. It's what makes him who he is. It's like, all right, like you want, and that's the thing too. There's no more imaginative way than killing somebody in their dreams. It's like, which is really cool. But what did you think of what did you think of John's girlfriend, Molly?
Um, I actually didn't mind her too much, to be honest.
Yeah, I, I sort of I like her character, but there's times in the movie because Josh Hartnett's character, John Tate, he comes off as sarcastic at times, and I'm not when he's telling her about, oh, we have this killer, this psychotic killer in the family, likes to butcher people up on Halloween. It seemed like she thought he was being sarcastic, and I don't think she really took him seriously with it.
You never know.
she does say, "Well, why celebrate Halloween now?" And he's like, because he basically he's telling her because of her. And it's like, well, wait, do you actually believe what he said, or do you think he's being sarcastic? I'm not sure. Oh gosh, but I love the fact that when him and Charlie are in town, they get caught. That whole confrontation between him and his mother in town is gold.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, that she's got it.
Oh, how did you feel about? I know this might sound like a weird question, but how did you feel about Josh's? Oh, excuse me, John's haircut.
It was what it was. I mean, I'll say this. I think that because you notice all the boys have haircuts, like they have pretty strict haircuts. I think that was sort of. I wonder if that was a rule for the school, like you have to keep your hair so short.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I know someone pointed out like it kind of looked weird. I don't really mind it too much, but because I don't really care about what people's hair looks like, to be honest. But
My wife's like, "Your hair's turning, your beard's turning gray." I'm like, "It's nothing now."
oh yeah,
Oh my gosh! But yeah, it's. What would you give this movie a scale out of 1 out of 10?
honestly, I'd probably say 1 out of 6 because I don't think it's honestly that great.
Right. I give it. I give this a 6.5.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I
So
and
plus,
I'll tell you why. Simply because even though they didn't have, because they don't, I don't think they had great atmosphere in this movie. But a lot of the character tensions in this movie make up for it.
oh that's true. Actually, I think them using the real Michael Myers instead of a copycat was a good call because it was the 20th anniversary. I think if it was a copycat kill, it might have ruined the 20th anniversary. However, that concept might have been good for a sequel though. Instead, like maybe instead of Resurrection, they could have had a cop about a copycat car, or maybe they could have had a copycat car in Resurrection.
I sort of wish with Resurrection they would have spent the money and went back to Pasadena. I mean, and tried to if you were going to use the Myers house, I like again. I like how because it was a set. It was a set design. I'm a huge DS fan, so I'm a sucker for a set design. But but again, I don't hate it. I don't hate how the Myers house looks in Resurrection. It looks okay, but I think if you were gonna, I agree with you. If you were gonna go back to Haddonfield, then why not have a copycat killer there? Because people are so familiar with the history of who Michael Myers.
Yeah, that's true. Now, they were gonna put a scene where one of Laurie's students talked about, you know, Jamie, Jamie being killed. Laurie's daughter, Jamie.
Yeah,
But that was taken out. Do you think that was a good decision?
I think it was. I think they did not know how to do that without hurting the character's integrity.
That is true. Yeah.
How do you like? They didn't know how to mention Jamie as dead and basically implying that Lori left her behind on purpose. How do you? Because once you plant that seed, there's no unplanting it. You could say, "Oh, it was the situation." Some people might say it doesn't matter. That's your daughter, so you don't want to create a mixed sort of tension with your audience. I think if you would have tied these together, you could have just said that Lori should have been told that Jamie died at birth. And that's why she thought Jamie was dead. So when she reads the paper, she could have said, I didn't know. I was I was lied to. And you learn who she was lied to by Dr. Wynn. That again, that's something they could have played with. They didn't. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's actually a good way around it. I mean, that's a good way to write that because because I was actually thinking about it too. That would actually be a problem. Because John was only like born like a year after, Jamie.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. Most adults, well, me and my wife, like my daughter was our rainbow baby because my wife miscarried the first time, but the second time our daughter was born, so we tried again, but what I'm trying to say is some parents do try again. So I could see Lori being told, well, your daughter died at childbirth, and she just believed it, and then she tries again, and then they have a son.
Oh yeah, I did like how you also used the Dr. Wynn. Makes sense too. He would for him to tell her that.
Yeah, I mean, or at least somebody associated with him, somebody that would have made sense. I mean, if you're going to tie all these movies in together, which I don't know if they'll ever do or not, but do you think we'll ever? By the way, I loved your answer on Twitter for young Dr. Loomis. Do you think we'll ever get a series about young Dr. Loomis?
Honestly, I don't. I actually don't think we will, but I think it'd be a cool idea if we did.
Yeah, it would for sure. That would be awesome. Daniel, for those who don't know, Daniel's answer was Freddie Highmore, which is really cool. Um, great answer. Is there anything you want to add before we go?
Oh oh um how do you feel about well how we talked about how Lori faced Michael Myers in this after she was afraid of him. Did you prefer this version of her facing Michael Myers, or did you prefer the 2018 version?
I prefer the version of H2 because Michael didn't have help getting there.
Oh,
Now,
that's true.
if you cut out, I don't hate the character of Sartain, but I don't like because the big deal with everybody is well the sequels had the Man in Black and the Man in Black helped Michael. Okay, what did Sartain do? He helped Michael. If that's the issue, then why not cut that character either out of that part where he's helping Michael, or if he instead of I don't mind him killing or trying to kill Hawkins because we know Hawkins lived, but again, just do it differently. Go. There's a moment where Hawkins is talking to Sartain. Do you know where he might go? And they're also talking about Laurie Strode and stuff. But there should have been a moment where he might have went home, and then the call came in about Allison, so they pick up Allison and they go to the Myers house, and up in Judas' room is where Sartain could have stabbed Hawkins.
Oh, that's true. I actually prefer this one too because Lori actually faced her fears. It makes more sense to me for her to be afraid, and then face her fears. Then like I've been ready for you, Michael. And then it's like for 4 decades, it's like people, this guy almost killed her. It makes more to me. It makes more sense for her to be afraid of him.
I don't mind the PTSD. Like, I think that was done good in both movies, but I think there needed to be a moment where we did need to see to me Annie, Bob, and Linda's graves, because to me, if you're Laurie Strode, you're never stopping visiting your friends. They were your friends. They meant something to you. That's the one thing I always take away from her character. Especially Annie. I mean, Annie was her best friend of all people. But again, I just prefer H2's version because again, she was afraid for sure, but she also stood up to her fears. I don't mind someone not being afraid, but I think there could have been it could have been better done instead of her saying, "Oh, I've waited for you. I've waited for him. He's waited for me." You could just have her say what she said. I love what she said earlier. I prayed he would escape. That I understand because hey, gives her an opportunity to what? Kill him.
Oh, that's true. I also kind of felt like 2018, like, everyone's afraid of Mike Myers, and which is understandable, but he hasn't even escaped for 4 decades.
I love the true crime aspect in both films. Both films have a true crime aspect. Loomis's deduction board and the podcasters in 2018. What was missing in 2018 because really Laurie Strode is partially Crazy Ralph in H2O. She's like she's all but saying Michael's coming to get her. They needed like a crazy character like Michael's gonna come to this town. He's gonna kill everybody. Like they needed like a Crazy Ralph character for 2018.
That would have been pretty cool.
Uh, Poor Crazy Ralph. He gets Jason. Jason's not nice for taking out Crazy Ralph. Oh my god. But do you think that what do you make of the Sartain character? Good, bad, and different?
Um, I would say, I'd say, um, I'd say good, but I'd say indifferent. It's hard to explain. Like, I'd say good, but he he wasn't really needed. I didn't mind. I kind of did like the whole he wanted to be like Michael Myers thing, but
Right.
you know,
I I did too. I don't mind again because people kill for different reasons. He even sort of hints at that too after he does it. Like he wanted to feel what it was like to kill. That's all well and good. I don't mind that at all because that's not who Michael Myers is. But you wanting to feel because hey, maybe you just wanted to stab Hawkins. I don't know. But I just feel when they stopped in the vehicle, they're slowing all their momentum down, and just to do that there, just I don't know. It felt out of place to me. I wish again I'd just take it to the Myers house. And I think you would have had something. I think the character's really well acted and well portrayed. He's not. It's not a horrible character. I just feel how they executed the character near the end of killing him off and really to kill him off, I more wish he would have lived and sort of faced the consequence of doing what he did do. Like out
but
of all, that's something Kills really missed an opportunity of him being in handcuffs and Laurie Strode being in the same. Imagine him getting arrested at the like and taken to the police station, and you see like a contrary shot of the police station and like the hospital where Laurie's at. He goes, "I just wanted to bring them together," or he wanted or him stabbing Hawkins. Like I wanted to know what it felt like, and like he's behind bars, and it's like the dude's crazy.
I actually thought like he was going to become a copycat killer, but
Yeah.
then he gets killed, so you know that.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been interesting if he would have been you know what I mean, turned into a copycat killer. That would have been really unique, especially do that in 2018 and have two different killers would have been interesting. But oh goodness, I have no more questions. Is there anything you want to add, man?
Oh yeah, with that thing we are talking about, also I I didn't expect 2018 to be the last one. Like I knew they were gonna make more. And I don't think Ends is gonna be the last one either.
When me and Daniel hear last one, we just yawn.
Yeah.
Like last
Those that
one.
don't, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, for those that don't know, H2O is actually going to be on 4K soon. It's actually going to be released in a set with Halloween 6, which will come with 4Ks of both the producer's cut and theatrical cut, and it'll also include Resurrection. It'll also have the regular Blu-ray, so if you don't have a 4K Blu-ray player, you'll still have that option.
Yeah, that's cool that they're doing that. That's really awesome. There's tons of interviews on there too. You can check out. So really, really cool that they're
But you
doing.
know what? Okay.
Oh no, it's just really cool they're doing that.
Oh yeah, I agree. You do know why that's being released in a set, not separately, don't you?
I heard it's to help advertise for the movie.
Well, apparently, the studio that owns them won't let them release them separately. That's what Screen Factory is saying, at least.
Well, I mean, here's the thing though too. Like they knew they did 1 through 5. If they knew that, I mean, they had to know they were gonna do all these again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, go. That's the thing I guess. Like instead of doing it like 1 through 4 and then 5 through resurrect, or sorry, 1 through 5 then 6 through resurrection. Why not just do it all 8 movies like you did before and release it in one big box set? People would have paid the money.
Oh, that's true.
Oh God, goodness. I just that's the thing I find most curious, like most odd about all this, like them releasing 1 through 5 and then releasing 6 through 8 like separately, like not separately, but separate from those.
Oh, that's true. I kind of wish they just did like the original 8, like even if they had to do them separately, because I'm buying them separately anyway. So it's
Yeah,
kind of weird. 1 through 5 is separate, and then 6 through 8 are in a set. You can't. I guess they will have individual cases, but the thing is, though, if it's in a set, I prefer to keep it in a set.
yeah, yeah. You can get the 1 through 5 individually, whether online and in the store too. They do sell it in the store, but yeah, I'm with you. Like, just next time to the people on Halloween. Just release it all at once.
That's true. Do you think the Rob Zombie movies are going to get a 4K release as well?
I bet you they will.
Yeah, I think they will. If they do, please, Scream Factory, include the theatrical cuts.
Yes, yes. For God's sake. Oh God. You would think if they get both of those, they would do they would do the theatrical release. I've seen both versions, but goodness, it was. I've told you that was the weirdest DVD release in Halloween history. You go to Walmart, unrated version. I'm like, unrated version. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So my brother picks it up. He's like, let's take this home. All right. Or let's take this up to your house. I'm like, all right. So we're watching. I'm like, some of this movie we seen in theaters, but they changed some of this. This isn't the theatrical version. I said, look on the thing to see if the theatrical version's on here. He's like, no, it isn't on here. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, for those that don't know, there's some differences. Like in the unrated version, when Mike Myers escapes, they're two guys are sexual assaulting a woman, but in the theatrical cut, he just breaks some chains and kills them.
Yeah, it's there's these two guys. They're raping a woman, and it's like, okay, so Michael saves the woman, and then he kills people. It's like, but in the like you said, in the theatrical, he just breaks the chains. Yeah, there's some differences for sure. It's crazy business, but I do think that Rob Zombie's Halloween's will be released on 4K. And yes, yes, shout, scream, you should release them together. Together.
That's gotta be cool. Yeah, I wouldn't mind those together too.
Right? I do, I do want to know that because I do think what one thing Rob Zombie doesn't get enough credit for. To me, he out Dean Cundy. Dean Cundy. He shot that movie like Dean Cundy would have.
Oh yeah,
You know,
I
I
could.
that's the one thing I'll give him credit for. He did a good job with his cinematography, but I just think if they're gonna keep releasing the Halloweens, don't release them like separately. Release them in a box set, like all of them.
Yeah, that I agree. That'd be cool. And actually, yeah, even that the other box set, the one, you know, I think it's 2014, the Blu-ray, that didn't even come with, the theatrical cut of Rob Zombie's two movies, but I don't get that.
Yeah, I noticed that when I put in those movies, I watched them like 2 months ago. I'm like, what's the? Are you watching the unrated version? I said, honey, there's only one version you can watch currently.
That's true. Oh, if you want to, there's a set in Canada with the two theatrical versions.
Good Canada. See, that's the one thing I don't understand though. Like, why did the studio just release? Well, I won't say they just released an unrated cut because I did see a theatrical cut at Walmart like 2 months after the uncut version. But it was like, okay, what's the point? Like,
Oh, that
like, and it wasn't even. It's weird. It was just a regular DVD. It wasn't like no special feature, like no big special features. It just I was like, okay, but
that's actually pretty interesting because I didn't know the theatrical cut was released here in the U.S. Actually, I mean, I knew it was released, but not on like physical media.
well, it was, but the way they released the unrated version 2 months, like 2, 3. I want to say two. It was probably 3 months. And I walked into Walmart, like it was Uniontown Walmart. Like it was designed a little like Uniontown Walmart's changed so much, like how they used to be designed and where their electronic department was. And there was the theatrical version of Rob Zombie's Halloween, like sitting there on a shelf. I'm like, well, what's the point? I already own the uncut version. No. And I should have just bought it to buy it, but I didn't. Like, nah, I'm gonna kick myself for not buying it, and I am kicking myself now.
Yeah, that's understandable, like because it's really weird because usually when the theatrical cut is available, it's on the same set as the unrated.
Yeah, that's the weird part about it all. It's like, why did if they were? I don't mind somebody making an unrated version of something. Please do if that's what you want to do. But on a DVD, you could have put both versions.
Oh, that's true. And they did that with the Halloween 6 producers cut too, because I don't know if you know, but the producers cut got a standalone Blu-ray release too.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've heard that. Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of funny. I was actually thinking about that because, there was a rumor that's not be true that Halloween 6 was going to get released on 4K. And, I kind of knew that the producer's cut was going to get a 4K. And I thought to myself, it would be so funny if the producer's cut didn't get a 4K, wasn't released on 4K because, in the theatrical edition did because, the whole selling point of the other box set was that, they remastered the producer's cut.
Anything they can do to get money.
That's right. They did a good job. I'm kind of surprised because they apparently they actually had to use some footage from bootlegs, but they did a good job.
Yeah, they did. No, they did. You're right. I agree. They the producer's cut is really interesting. It's both movies are like Halloween 6. Both versions are dark, and I love it for it. Uh, I think to me the producer's cut has a little more stalking in it, plus with the druids and the I don't say druids, the candles, but
Oh yeah. Oh
great.
yeah. Well, for those that don't know why it needed to be remastered, like there was a point with before that box set came out, the only way to own Halloween 6 was, have a bootleg. They didn't have an official release.
Yeah, yeah, and the bootleg. Now you don't have to. Well, you could still own. I don't know. No, buy it legally. Don't sue me.
Yeah, I kind of surprised. I'm kind of surprised the company didn't want to capitalize on that when it was, because people wanted it for years. Like I'm surprised they didn't just release it when they found there was bootlegs of it.
Yeah, they're never probably gonna let that happen again. They'll just probably like, you know what, we'll just re-release this on 4K. that's that's how everything's gonna be now. Like instead of getting the bootleg copy, you're the studio's just gonna like,
Oh, that's true. I know it said on the website like the producers cut and getting a first release was up to Disney, but I don't really get that because doesn't Dimension Films own that, or does Disney own Dimension Films?
I don't know if Dimension or Disney owns Dimension or not, but unless they do, and they have to decide on it now.
Oh yeah, I
So
think it's at Disney. I don't know because it might say it's still on there, but they might have changed the website around by now.
they might have. I don't know. I I know Disney owns Fox and stuff, and it's like it feels like Disney owns everything, but they don't. But
Yeah, that's what's weird. It seems like everything is either owned by Disney, Google, or Facebook now.
that damn Mickey Mouse, he has to have his hands in everything now.
Sure.
No, I'll say this that whoever owns it, just be smart about it and don't gyp the fans.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why I kind of said the studio when I was talking about the set. Why it's being released in a set because um I'm not sure who owns it anymore. Like it's either Dimension Film or Miramax or what used to be Miramax. I don't know anymore.
I, didn't I say Trancas was like gonna buy the rights back here soon?
Oh yeah, I think. Oh yeah, that might have been true. Yeah, and there's Frank as well, but Miramax, I could be wrong, but I think that was one of Harvey Weinstein's companies. That's what
Yeah, it was one of them until he did some really stupid shit.
That's true. Yeah. Apparently, there was even. Apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard like that the mom in Halloween 6 was gonna have a more important role, but Harvey Weinstein said her chin was too pointy.
I don't know. I know her role was pretty huge though. When you watch it, I mean, she gets kidnapped. I mean, they end up saving her. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's I don't know. Maybe that's what got, because I know when I was talking to Daniel Ferrens, he was saying about how the warehouse stuff, like that was shot in California, and he wasn't really part of that. So maybe that's what he was meaning.
Oh yeah, could be. Oh yeah, I actually didn't think about your interview with Daniel Ferrens. I hope he's not listening to this and saying like, you guys are spreading incorrect information about my movie or something.
Uh, I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? I just think sometimes with certain like studios, some studios do have really great intentions.
Oh yeah,
And
it's true.
there's other studios like Warner Brothers with Dark Shadows, and they did jack and shit with it for years. Anyway,
Yeah. Oh yeah, Daniel Ferrens, if you are listening, I think you seem like a cool dude to me.
he
I actually
is
my friends list.
he's really cool. He's a very polite gentleman, very nice.
Oh, that's good. I know he's even cleared up a rumor about Halloween 6. You know how like everyone says like in the producer's cut, Michael Myers rapes his niece. He actually mentioned in a comment that that's not true. Michael Myers evil impregnated her. Well, he said it better. He said it away, but basically could have said it was the evil, not like having sex with her.
Right, right. Well, he was saying too, like that Daniel Harris was like she read the script for Halloween 6, so she knew Jamie's fate and she was willing to do it, but they didn't have enough money to like pay her what she wanted.
I could see that. I think she got screwed over with Halloween 5 as well.
Probably, like maybe her pay wasn't as good for 5. But again, 5, they said 5 didn't do well at the box office, so.
Oh yeah, I could see that. I didn't mind 5 though. I know people say that's when it started to get bad, which I could kind of see that, but I think 5 is still watchable.
I love 5 because I love like how Michael socks the shit out of Tina.
Oh yeah. Well, I know also people don't like the masks in 4 and 5, and I do understand they do look. Well, the one in 4 is really bad, but hear me out. It's supposed to be a random Halloween mask,
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. I think by 4, William Shatner's lawyers took notice.
Oh yeah.
And that's why you see the mask you see in 5. Like it's not. I think that's why we get the mask in 5, because William Shatner was threatening to sue or had sued. I'm not sure which, but again, his lawyers took notice and they threw. You would think, I mean, the original, it's a Captain Kirk mask.
That's true. Although I know it is one, but to me, you can't really tell it just by looking at it.
No, you can't. But in 4, well, with 4, you sort of do notice that it looks sort of like William Shatner a bit. Like if you look up like a Captain Kirk mask and then look at 4's mask. Oh my god.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard William Shatner really hates it if you bring that up to him
too. I guess he won't ever do that Halloween cameo we all hoped.
Oh yeah. However, also with the Halloween, the original Halloween mask, it started to rot by the second one. That's when the second one looks different. It started to rot.
Yeah. I've heard that. Yeah.
I kind of wish they did just paint it white if they could have, because it's supposed to be the same night, so it doesn't really make sense that it's like decaying now. Well, not decaying, but it's darker.
Yeah. I will say that. Well, here's my thing too. It was 19. They couldn't have just made the same mask. You know what I mean? I guess not. I don't know.
Or that, yeah, that could. Oh yeah, remember when Michael Myers turned blonde for like a scene in Halloween 4?
Yes. That was that. I got to tell you, that was Ben Tramer's revenge on Dr. Loomis.
Oh yeah. Oh you know what's actually interesting about Ben Tramer? Apparently, Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't remember him, which is understandable because he was not really important. But yeah, when Halloween 2018 was coming out, she was asked if Laurie's husband was Ben Tramer, and she said, "Who?"
You gotta give Jamie Lee Curtis a break. Listen, when someone says Ben Tramer to me, the only thing I think is like fried skeleton. Okay.
Oh yeah, sure. And that's no longer canon.
Like, so it's like Ben the guy who was up in flames with a police car, that Ben Tramer.
Yeah. I'm sure you already know this since you're such a big Halloween fan, but did you know Annie's boyfriend was John Carpenter?
Yeah, he was on the phone. He was Paul.
Yeah, what's funny though is Paul actually was in the Rob Zombies version too, but in Rob Zombies, he wasn't a sports he actually ended up getting killed.
Yeah, he doesn't get so lucky, but it's John Carpenter has a cameo in his own movie. His voice does anyway. On the phone, he's on the phone with Annie Brackett. They're sort of talking dirty to each other, and then he says something to her. Well, come pick me up.
One thing I'm surprised they haven't edited out yet is when Bob says, then we'll take off Lindsay's clothes. All these, I know why they didn't censor it back then, but it seems like after of all these years they would have taken that out by now.
Well, keep in mind he's supposed to be drunk too.
Oh, that's true.
It's probably that's the set though too. Like you'll notice too that there's moments where Dark Shadow's characters are supposed to be drunk, and so they're playing that character. They're playing the character of being drunk. Well, okay, that's Bob as well. Bob's supposed to be drunk, so well he says Lindsay when he clearly made a mistake because he's so intoxicated already.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a fun little thing. Like when you look at the original and you notice all the goof ups and shit. Like you see the big fan blowing the curtain. My favorite goof up still is John Carpenter's cigar smoke. It just rolls past.
Oh yeah, oh, yeah, that's kind of weird. But yeah,
It's funny as shit. Like it's like I'm like we need a goof up in this trilogy where like John Carpenter's somebody smoke a cigarette or something and just have it roll past the camera.
oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right, man. I am all out of questions. This has been a blast. But next Monday, I'll do another Michael Myers video. I don't know which one yet. It's a week away. But Daniel, man, thank you so much for coming on and talking Halloween H20 with me, man.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Have a great night, man.
If you too.